Hello YouTube, I'm back again. In my last video I said I would show you how to, it's very simple, how to make these boxes. Very useful, carrying bits and bobs. I drew you this last time, which is a very basic design, whatever you want to call it. And that's basically how you construct these bags. Boxes rather. I did cut a big template here on scrapbook paper. The square in the middle, excuse me, ended up. It's a 5-inch square in the middle. I mean, obviously, you scale them up, you scale them down. It's up to you. As I said in the previous video, the only important thing is that you get these exactly the same height because they form the edges of your box, bag, whatever you want to call it. And that's the only important thing. This piece in the middle can be whatever size you want. These don't have to be this deep. I've got one here that I keep. Let me angle you down, it'll probably be easier to show you. I promise not to drop you this time. Right, I've got this one here with very shallow sides, as you can see. And I keep my trimmers and my fabric cutting equipment in there, basically. And that was just quite simply, this is these furnishing fabric squares out of the books that I showed you last time, you know, the big ones that you get when you have a sample. So I just I pieced together some little bits like that to make the bottom, and then I love that fabric on the inside. I love that colour. So that's the inside of my tray, if you like. I'm going to call it a tray more than a box, this one. And then I just simply, I put them wrong sides together so that I've got a raw seam edge here sort of thing. But I like that look. That appeals to me. So yeah, just a very close zigzag around the edges, seals it all in, and the same on the corners. Just do that. It's, you know, they are really not hard to do. Let me just pop all my cutters back in there. If the raw edge bothers you, using a template like this, I mean, this is the actual size, this one I've cut here, I'll show you now. I cut this fabric from that template. Just undo the sides, and I put right sides together and sewed it inside basically, and then turned it through, so you end up with that, but you don't have the raw edges. You will need to top stitch. It does make a difference if you just very carefully top stitch around each one before you put the sides together. Give it a quick top stitch, which also closes off the bit where you turned it. This is a lovely paisley print, as you can see, and it's plain on the outside. From this point you choose what you want showing. You can either have paisley on the outside, which is quite nice, or you have paisley in the middle and have the dark blue on the outside. I don't know now. No, I've done that. I don't know which way to have it round. I might go paisley on the outside actually. I was going to do it on the inside, but seeing that looks really nice on the outside. Yeah, going to go with that. I haven't sewn this together on the machine because I want to do a blanket stitch with some embroidery floss. So tonight I shall sit and blanket stitch the edges like I did on this one. I did it in a pink embroidery floss there. I quite like that. I think it's quite nice, and I just like to. I don't mind the machine edged. I mean, it doesn't bother me at all, but I kind of like to just add a little bit of interest and a little bit of my hand stitching on things like this. So I'm just going to clip those back together because that's tonight's entertainment. So yeah, so I just clip it like that. Well, I don't actually clip all of them. I just clip them one at a time as I'm stitching them. This is going to end up quite a small box. I say that's the only trouble when you do a 5-inch bottom, you know, square in the middle. like that. It does end up quite a small tub box, however you want to call it. Okay, but it is, I mean, it's lovely and neat. If you like your neat edges and you don't like the raw edges, then that's the way to do it. Just stitch it right sides together, cut your cross, right sides together with your fabric, stitch it all round, leave a gap for turning, turn it through. I definitely recommend the top stitching. It just makes all the difference. And then, as I say, you can take that to the machine. It is quite thick. As I say, I've used furnishing fabric, so it is a bit thick, this one. If you were doing cotton fabrics or anything lighter weight, I would really recommend you line it with some interlining, you know, interfacing stuff, because I mean, it's up to you, I suppose, really. If you don't mind floppy sides, then, you know, you will have floppy sides. These are 2 furnishing fabrics. I've not bothered to do that, and it is quite a shallow bowl. So I still haven't made the tall one for my coffee pot yet, but it's in progress. I got distracted. The other way of doing it is, let me just shove these out of the way. Starting off with a very simple square. Just move you back a bit. Just start off with a square. This is a 10-inch square. I've got one furnishing fabric on top, and I've got another coordinating one underneath. Okay, and what you can do, I'll show you one that I've made, well, many years ago actually. This was just felt. Underneath there is a lining fabric, and then I just chopped up little bits of fabric and put some netting on top. It was a bit of a faff because you then have to sew all the way around to make sure you've caught everything flat, obviously. And then once you've done what you want to do with it, you quite simply lift up the cord. You pinch the sides. You pinch like that. Okay, and you would sew here to whatever depth you want your little bowl to be. I don't know if that's making any sense whatsoever. Okay, so I decided I wanted it quite high, this one, quite a tall one. Okay, so I pinched it. It was a square, pinched the corners, stitched it here, there, and then that forms the sides. I don't know, the depth, yeah, because once you push it down, the bottom of your bowl is where you started stitching, and then this stitch line here gives you the height of your bowl, box thing, whatever you're going to call it. Obviously you end up with the corners sticking up. You can, if you want, fold those back over, very simply put a decorative button there, or just a simple stitch. It doesn't have to be anything like that, and then that keeps it right wide open for you. You do end up with these, but I find them quite handy actually, because if I use that as a sewing basket, I tend to put things like my quick unpick. Not that it'll fit. Sometimes when they're taller, not this one, I've got another one downstairs which is a bigger one, and it's actually got taller triangles here basically, so you can shove things in there if you want to, but just leave them, you know. Or you can again pop your finger in, give them a wiggle, and you can stitch those down too if you want to. Okay, so you know your sides would look like that basically, if you wanted. I mean, you know, it really is up to you. So yeah, so with this one I shall be get all the bits off me. I simply need to pinch here. I need to stitch it all the way around first. I've decided to go with the raw edges, that's what I like. So I need to stitch all the way around with a zigzag all the way around here. Once it's all sewn together, I will then pinch the sides, and that's all you do. You just pinch it. Obviously these are single. You just pinch and you make you form a triangle, almost like a dart really. Okay, and so I'd stitch there, and that let me get some clips. Hang on. If I clip it, you should be able to get an idea. And this could be a good idea for a dry run actually, so you can see just how big you want your side. So I'd put the corners together, okay, and then let's say I want to come up this far, and then I would stitch down here in a triangle. I'll just do the same. Let me just do it all the way around, bear with me. Obviously these would be stitched together, so they would be one piece. You can quilt them before you do this if you want. In fact, you can put quilt batting in between and make a very nice quilted tray, box thing, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, there's all sorts of, you know, very useful. They make, if you do a big enough one, they make great fruit bowls. Because they're nice and soft, you don't end up bruising your fruit. So you end up with something like that. Obviously, you just stitch from this point down to here. You'd obviously get that the same all the way round. Okay, so you just measure that out. So once it's stitched, that would be it basically. Again, I was thinking I'll put it in the middle, but I might have it on the outside. Although, yeah, no, I think I'll leave it like that actually, and then I might actually, I've got some nice wooden buttons that I might put on the edges there and just stitch them down, stitch up the here, and that's all you would do. Might, yeah, so that's quite a big side. So yeah, you can use it like that. I mean, you can, you know, whatever. So that's another easy way to do it, but you do end up with a sort of a weird pointy bowl, which, you know, very nice. So yeah, you can either have square, pointy, or that, or you can make them really shallow and make a tray. I hope that's clear. If you know, if you're struggling with that, let me know, and I'll happily sit and get the machine, get the camera at the side of the sewing machine so that you can actually watch me make one, because they are really quick to make. So as I say, there's absolutely no rocket science involved, as long as you get your corners, these all exactly the same. So that's simple as measure this this, get your points together, your corners here, measure up. I think these were 1 inch. Yeah, they were about 1.5 inches, those are. So about measure from here to here, 1.5 inches, and then you just mark it there as well. Probably again, I mean, you can make it an equilateral triangle if you want. I mean, it's up to you. As I say, this is where you decide. It's a good idea to use the clips just to do a dry run, just to see how big you want it, and stitch it. Do the same again with the next corner, stitch it, and again stitch, and again stitch, and you end up with one of those. Cotton buds in the bathroom. Not that I use them anymore, but that's something that you can use them for. I've got actually one, a slightly laid down one, where I keep all my bits and bobs in the bathroom, basically. So yeah, so there's 2 ways of doing it. As I say, you can start with a square, or you can make yourself a template. Obviously this can be whatever size you want, and then these are the crucial bits. When you're making them like this, you just need these sides to be exactly the same height, because when you cut out your fabric, they go up to make the edge of your box tray thingy. Right, I hope that's clear. As I say, let me know if you want me to show you how to sew it. It's dead easy. I just want to introduce very quickly, let me just pop you back up. Ooh, bear with me. I just want to introduce a new project I'm starting. I picked up 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 4 curtains in a charity shop. Really lovely. I want to change my bedroom basically, so let me angle you that way slightly, and then I should be able to hopefully just show you. Bear with me. Right, so I picked up, I like this, I mean, it's not everybody's taste, I know, but anyway, I picked up this beautiful, these lovely They obviously, you know, they're curtains at the moment. I picked up 2 long skinny curtains, so they're going to be actual curtains for my bedroom. Now this, I know we don't usually use upholstery fabric or, you know, curtain fabric to make a quilt, patchwork quilt, but that's exactly what I'm going to do. This is, although it's you know, obviously they're curtains, it's quite it almost feels like linen. And let me just see if I can show you. It's quite see-through and it's quite a thin fabric. You can see it's quite thin. It's not going to be heavy. I mean, I don't feel that's any thicker than a good cotton, which is probably what it is actually. But obviously, I don't know what it is because they're ready-made curtains. So anyway, I've got a huge one. In fact, it's massive. Okay, so that's that one. I've also got a long, skinny one, which was just an extra. But to make a contrast colour, I picked up these, which are a very similar fabric. They're the you know, the pole type curtain things. Can't remember. I don't know what the official name is, but anyway, you just put your curtain pole through there, and they're very nice. But they're too short. Otherwise, I'd have had those as my curtains in my bedroom. But I do like long curtains, so I'm going to use this as the a coordinating fabric to go with the green. Let me drag this over. Okay, let me just angle you down slightly and you'll be able to see what I'm on about. Because I've watched a recent video on disappearing fat quarters, I think it was called. So they're big blocks, but then you sew them all together and then you cut them down the middle. I'll show you. But anyway, so this is going to be my coordinating block, which I thought was pretty good actually. Again, this is not a thick, heavy fabric. You can't really see. Let's just move out of the way. You might be able to see. It's quite a thin fabric. Again, it's very linen-y feeling. So I mean, there's enough fabric here, I think. I could just simply chop that on my bed and that would be my bedspread. But I really want the patchwork effect. So I'm going to do that. I've got some measurements made up, which are my lovely scrappy bit of fabric here, fabric paper, all written down amazingly. Yeah, so it's called Disappearing 4 Patch, but you do it on the size of a fat quarter, basically. Or you do 21 inches by 16 inches, and you need, right, it's either 16 fat quarters or 16 pieces 21 by 16, and you need, can't remember what it was, 1 2 3 4, yeah, so you would need in each big patch, so I'm not making any sense here, am I? In each big patch, I'll just show you my really bad drawings. So for each square you need 4 squares. Well, you would use fat quarters, but obviously I'm not going to be using fat quarters, it's going to be fabric. But you need to cut them to 21 by 16, and you stitch, I mean, obviously I'm going to have leafy, dark green, leafy, dark green. You stitch them all together in a big 4 patch, and it's massive. And then you cut, let me just get that a little bit closer. Once it's all stitched together, you cut basically the middle, where it's sewn down the middle, you cut 4 inches either side, take that bit out and turn it, so you're going to have the opposite fabrics. Oh, that was painful, wasn't it? I'm sorry. I'll show you, it's going to be easier. Oh, bloody Nora. Sorry, crikey. Oh, I will get better at this one day. Sorry, my tripod's having a fit now. Right, okay, I'm going to sign off before I'm giving everybody a headache. Yeah, that'll be an onward progress. Well, I'll give you progress. I need to start cutting the squares. So I think it's going to be quite quick. So hopefully it will be, and hopefully it'll be quite effective. So the curtains are actually going to be the leafy fabric. I say, if the dark green, if they'd have been slightly longer, I suppose I could put the leaves at the bottom, but I want that for the contrast fabric. Yeah, I'll leave it as I've got it planned at the moment. So That'll be that. Oh, patchwork pooch, where are you? I've done him. Oh, hang on, I can't reach. Oh, I had to do it. His nose is in the right place now, bless him. He can smell so much better. There, dear. He's not going to be a pincushion, I've decided. He's far too cute. He just survived the grandchild. Didn't quite get dog napped. But I've seen, gosh, RS Island Crafts, I think it was. She's done a really lovely pincushion. I use the clips, the little binder clip things, quite a lot. And she designed a pin cushion where you just have, is that going to stay? Yes. You have a normal pin cushion, but you make a diagonal cut here and you put a bit standing up basically for all your little clips to go on, which would be quite handy because I end up with like pins in one bit and clips in another. So that'll be a quite handy thing to have at the side of my machine. We'll see. I might make it. I might not. Another thing I've got planned is I need a new needle case basically for my hand sewing needles. So I saw somebody, I think it was at the craft show, and she had a lovely sort of felt booklet basically, but inside she'd done these lovely circles on the edge and all this, that and the other, and inside it was a needle well, needle book, I suppose you'd call it. So I'm going to have a go at designing that and see if I can make something like that. I do need a new one. Mine is falling apart. So yeah, so hopefully you're okay with all that. As I say, the quilt will be an ongoing thing. It's not going to be, it's just going to be a topper. I'm not actually, it's just going to be a bed cover. It's not going to actually be a what we think of as a continental quilt type thing. It'll just be a cover that will go on over the top of my duvet basically. So and just make it all very nice and matchy. I might even have enough of this left over. I want to do some sort of like stretched canvases and maybe do some applique free motion work on top just to make some artwork for the bedroom as well. So anyway, I'll leave it there. Thank you very much. Any questions, let me know. I'm sorry about dropping the flipping camera again. I will make a more stable tripod for my phone. Bless it. Thanks very much. See you again. Bye.